14 years ago, I told the biggest lie. So, when I was in primary school in year 4, must have been exactly 14 years ago to this moment, I had a bully we'll call Elle. Elle was an absolutely diabolical kid. He would pick and tease on me constantly and just would never leave me alone. I just remember being very sick of it and would cry every night because he was making my life so miserable and made me feel very small. One day, though, I altered reality and he would soon never go near me again. Imagine it's a Thursday evening. I'm riding my bike with my friend at the time on my way home, and Elle pop out from the corner down an alleyway on his bike, along with his dopey friends. They were twins, and the best way to describe them is the Bulldog twins from Timothy Goes to School. Just plain stupid little boys. I tell Elle to just leave me alone and that I don't want any trouble from him. He then pushes me off my bike and starts calling me names. To him I was an ugly fucker and that I should watch my back at school, otherwise my head is getting flushed down the toilet. At this point, I would usually cry at him, but something snapped and I looked at him and uttered the words, "If you don't leave me alone, I'm going to tell everyone you punched me in the face and then say you're going to hit my little brothers next time." He got into my face and told me to do it while pulling me hair and then even spat on me. He then got on his bike with his stupid friends and cycled off. I then cycled a bit more with my friend down the street and told her to punch me. At first, she was reluctant, but I told her to just do it as hard as she could. She did and even knocked a baby tooth out. I put that baby tooth in my pocket and told her if anyone asked her about what happened to just say what he did and then add at the end that he punched me. I get home, work up some tears mainly from jamming my finger into the socket my tooth got knocked out from and went to my mum crying my eyes out. She comes over rushing asking what had happened and I told her that Elle had punched me in the face and threatened to attack my brothers. My sister was in the other room, heard what happened and was livid. She stormed straight that house on the phone to her friend shouting, and I quote, "Some fucker has just attacked my brother, we're going to find him." I sat on the sofa quite happily that night with ice cream my mum let me have while watching The Simpsons before my bath and bed. The next day at school, my mum took me to the head teacher's office and demanded to see my head teacher. She came out, and my mum explained what had happened to her and we sat down, had a meeting and I told her exactly what had happened. Plus the great big fat lie. My head teacher took this very seriously, and when I say all I wanted was him to get told off so he would leave me alone. Oh boy, did he get more than that! The head teacher immediately suspended him from my school and even called the police. The school had an emergency assembly about the incident and stated that bullying would not be tolerated, and students would be facing severe punishments for bullying. The police sat down with me, asked what had happened, told the same story, went to my friend who also told the same story. I do feel bad for making her do that, however she was truly a ride or die for doing that. I then later found out Elle had been expelled. The twins who were also there got in huge trouble as well. They went to a different school, but I was told from a friend who also went to that school that they were placed in a detention area of the school for a good while. I honestly did not mean for it to go this way. However, in my head to this day he did need a lesson, and I did tell him the truth at least. About 2 to 3 years ago, I got a message from Elle on Instagram. Was honestly shocked that he would do that considering what had happened. I hadn't heard, seen or spoken to him since that night he stopped me on his bike. He basically messaged me that he did used to bully me, and he does regret it, but asked me if he actually punched me. I was flabbergasted, he genuinely thought he had punched me that night. I did reassure him though that no, he did not punch me and that I'd lied about it. He asked why I'd lied about it, and I told him straight up that I told him that if he didn't leave me alone, that I would tell people that he had punched me, and then wanted to hurt my brothers, and that he told me to do it. He replied back that he actually respected that I stuck with my word. I then asked him about what happened to him after he was suspended and expelled, as I never saw or heard of him again. He told me that after he was expelled his family was furious, came from a very strict family, and that he was basically grounded from doing anything for a long time. We're talking years. The police came and he had to speak to them, and basically bluffed the entire time as he was shitting himself, and was then sent to some sort of order with his parents for behaviour and anger. He was then homeschooled for the rest of the year, and then after that year was over, sent to boarding school for the rest of his school life. I also asked about the twins, however he knew as much as I knew, and said that the twins' parents had banned them from seeing him, and when he tried to ring the house phone after he found out was told by the dad that he was a terrible influence on them and that they didn't want him going near them. I do feel bad in some way for doing that, but he honestly seems fine now, and even told me that had I not done that he probably wouldn't have learned his lesson, and said that he would have never forgiven himself had I done something worse than a punch to myself had he continued.